What's good, homies and homies? It's your boy Chris Jones, and this is the episode of Reflecting with Chris. And I want to talk to you guys a little bit about Jason David Frank, also known as Tommy Oliver, the Green Ranger from the Power Rangers franchise. Guys, this death really hit home for me because the Power Rangers TV show was a huge influence on my life, a huge part of my childhood. I actually have the Black Ranger, Zach, the original Black Ranger, tattooed on my leg. That just lets you know how much that show had an influence on my life, guys. And it's very sad to hear about his passing. He was still relatively young, only 49 years old. And from what the reports are saying, he took his own life. Based off several sources and several reports, more than 3 at least, apparently he hung himself in a hotel. You have to really be at a low point in your life, guys. You have to really be vibrating low internally to feel like taking your own life is the only way to escape from your pain. Now, we talked about in the last video, with Takeoff, and we talked about briefly how that music game is very spiritual. They don't tell you about this. They don't spread the awareness about this because, quite frankly, the higher ups, the elites, they make so much money off of our ignorance. That's how the game goes. But also, guys, mental health. Mental health is another spiritual battle. And guys, beating demons internally, especially guys out there battling mental health right now, you already know what I'm saying is true. Battling internal demons is probably going to be one of the hardest things you're ever going to have to do. And just like working out, getting yourself in shape when you've been out of shape and keeping yourself in shape, it's a lifelong journey and a lifelong responsibility. Taming your demons, keeping your mental health in check is a lifelong journey that you cannot let up off of. Because it only takes one bad week, one bad day to just lose it. Mental health is a spiritual battle that is not talked about enough. Now, I know a lot of you guys may have heard the whole concept of the 7 sins. The 7 sins is a huge concept and it's very popular. But what people fail to realize is the 7 sins is not actually in the Bible. Yeah, the whole concept of the 7 sins came out by a Christian monk. He was born around the 4th century, so hundreds of years ago. Well over 1,000 years ago. He was born around the 4th century. And guys, he was a Christian monk. Now we know monk means discipline, right? Notice Jesus, right? He had disciples. That's why you gotta learn etymology, root words. The root word of discipline is disciple. Notice in the Bible, Jesus had disciples. Disciple requires discipline. It requires to learn. Discipline, guys, is a cheat code in this game. Discipline. So he was a Christian monk, meaning he pretty much dedicated his life to the narrow path. Just like you can master anything, you can master martial arts, you can master a sport, you can master a trade like carpentry. He pretty much took the narrow path and became a master in his field, and he came up with the concept of the 7 sins. Evagrius Ponticus, right? But what a lot of people don't talk about is he also talked about something called despondency. Again, guys, mental health is a spiritual battle. Beating demons internally is going to be one of the hardest things you're ever going to have to do. It's challenging, it's tough, but it's not impossible. Despondency pretty much meaning sorrow, sad thoughts. Guys, mental health, we were already warned about this shit well over 1,000 years ago. Why are we not making mental health a top priority? How many celebrities do we gonna have to see with $1 million in the bank kill themselves? How many people, just regular people in general, not even celebrities, are we gonna have to hear about taking their own life till we wake the fuck up and realize something is the matter here. We are literally programmed from birth to want to survive. We are literally programmed for birth to self-preserve ourselves. Self-preservation is the law of the land. So anytime someone willingly wants to take their own life, can you imagine the kind of pain that person is going through? Could you imagine how low you have to be vibrating internally to feel like the only way out of your pain is to take your own life? Again, guys, mental health is a spiritual battle. One of my favorite quotes from Einstein is, I'm probably paraphrasing here, but I put it on the screen. He said, "The more I learn about physics, the more I'm drawn to metaphysics." Notice, metaphysics. Physics and metaphysics work the same. The only difference is you can't see the metaphysical. Just like you can get your body in shape, you can get your mind in shape as well. You can get your spiritual state of vibration increased as well. The only difference is I can work out for 3 months, eat right, do my cardio, and I look in the mirror and I can literally see my changes. Unfortunately, when it comes to the metaphysical, you can't get a visual. You know, you just gotta have that faith that everything's gonna work out. Even though you can't see it, you should be able to feel it. You should be able to feel your spirits raised. You should be able to feel your mood change. And of course, knowing that you're applying yourself and you're doing these things over and over again, you should have faith, a strong level of faith that things are gonna work out. You know, I can't speak for everybody else here, and I'm not gonna go on and on about it, but I am a huge believer in Christ. When I was going through my dark times, guys, this is why I don't judge. There was a time in the past where I would say a motherfucker who killed himself is a pussy. I would say things like, if you have kids to look after, you have kids to protect, you have kids to set an example for, and you still kill yourself, you're a fucking weak ass pussy. I would say things like that with my tongue. I would say things like that out my fucking mouth. Until 2020, when I was able to get a taste of that dark energy, and my mind was attacked, and I felt like at one point the only way out was to take my own life. I was even planning the shit in my head. Let me tell you, them demons are no fucking joke. So yes, guys, I'm a huge believer in Christ, because Christ literally came inside of me and walked me out of that shit, literally. Told me exactly where I went wrong, why I was having these feelings, and how to free myself from these fucking demons. One thing that stuck with me, I tend to do this a lot when I hear about people killing themselves or dying over drug overdose or some shit like that. I tend to kind of do a little research on them, see if anything stick out, see whether there are any red flags, you know. And one thing that stuck out with me about Jason was he had this tattoo. It said, "Jesus didn't tap." Pretty much meaning Jesus didn't give up. Jesus didn't give up on you. You feel me? Jesus didn't tap out. Unfortunately, with all due respect, Jason tapped out. You know, I'm reading a lot of comments, guys, and a lot of comments are blaming the wife. We gotta take accountability for our own actions. Yes, let's just say she brought him a lot of misery, a lot of pain. Still, you were responsible for yourself. At the end of the day, guys, you don't know what this man was dealing with internally. You don't know what kind of demons he was battling. You don't know the kind of circumstances he was going through off camera. You don't know what kind of financial situation he was in. And also, you don't know what kind of karma, what kind of potential. We don't talk about this shit enough. Karma comes in several ways. When I was going through my shit in 2020, and I was getting guided out of the darkness, I had to right some of my fucking wrongs to clear my conscience. A good chunk of the pain I was going through mentally, the demons I was getting attacked by in my mind, was karma that I placed on myself. You don't know what kind of karma this guy was dealing with. You don't know what kind of demons he was already dealing with. You don't know the circumstances. You don't know. All we know is this. Let's just stick to the facts. Let's stop blaming people for other people's actions. All we know is this. This grown man, at some point, was at such a low place in his life that he felt like suicide was the answer to escape his pain. That is the facts. We don't know the rest. You know, all we can do is speculate. All we can do is guess at this point. I wish it would have left a note. That's one thing about these suicides. You know, again, guys, I don't judge, because let me tell you something. If it wasn't from being saved by Christ, I'd probably been one of these statistics. I just personally, I can't see myself waking up every day feeling that kind of pain. Well, let me tell you guys, I cannot see myself waking up every day feeling that type of pain internally with no release. At some point, I probably would have reached my breaking point. We got to stop blaming other people for our actions, especially as men. And two, we gotta realize that mental health is a spiritual battle, and just like we take care of ourselves physically, let's take care of our spiritual and our mental health so we can function at the best of our ability. Mind, body, and spirit, all three of these things matter. This shit ain't no joke, guys. This whole reality is energy based. Not only the physical shit, but the metaphysical shit. Not only the visible shit, but the invisible shit. Everything in this reality is energy based. So with that said, you gotta stay on top of your game. So anyway, guys, I think I talked about this long enough. Let me know what you guys think about this situation. I just told you what I thought about it. And if anybody who's ever experienced mental health issues, comment below. Let us know if you're still going through it. Let us know if you got out of it and how did you get out of it. For me, guys, I was literally saved. I was literally saved, and then I was guided by the Spirit. And ever since then, I just been on a journey for knowledge. I've been fascinated. I've been fascinated by this shit ever since. And hopefully, I can help others, you know. I believe that's one of my callings, is just to be a positive source of energy for other people. Just spread as much positive energy and help as many people as I can while I'm here on this earth. Catch you guys later.